Okay, so I believe we've given ourselves enough time. Hopefully the others will join whilst we start. So please let's take a word of prayer. Our Father in heaven, we thank you so much for today. We bless you for the gift of life. We commit today's session into your hands. We ask that you, O Lord, will dwell with us. Help us to understand everything we are taught here. Help us to have a very fruitful discussion. That at the end of it all, we bless and exalt your holy name. These and many more blessings we prayed for in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. So today we are looking at stand up and deliver. And to help us with that discussion is our very own pharmacist, Abraham JC. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, so sir, please, we can start. You can take over. Thank you.
May I humbly plead with the pharmacist Bracken to share the slides, please?
Yes.
Thank you, my brother. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good to see your smiling face. Yes. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with slide 1.
Yes.
Colleagues, as you can see from slide 1, there's a picture of someone who's already standing up and making a presentation. It is to symbolize what we are supposed to be discussing today. And but even before I start, I must pay glowing tribute to the Ghana College of Pharmacists for envisioning this masterclass series as part of the launching of our 10th anniversary as a college. And the objective is to support pharmacists in writing and publishing their research. The objective is to support pharmacists in writing and publishing their research. And I must say that this effort is a joint collaboration of this presentation between myself and our dear friend, whom I affectionately like to call KB, Dr. Bracken from the UK. Doc, I must thank you so much for your sympathy and patience in helping to put together this nice presentation, which I will present to a part, and then you would then take over where the meat actually is. So we'll break up into sessions to discuss some pertinent issues to propel us forward. So thank you very much. I must immediately acknowledge your presence and your support.
Thank you.
And also, I must also congratulate our dynamic and hardworking rector for launching this master series such as to provide fellows with critical knowledge and skills to enable fellows now to write up their research and then to publish. From time immemorial, as we have all known in this country, pharmacists just in the past were content going about their duties, and they were never putting down anything in writing and not research. So the healthcare delivery team did not see as much as we would have wished the real value of pharmacists as very active members of the healthcare delivery team. And this has carried on for some time. And we are feeling the effects of it directly and indirectly today. So I must say that this masterclass series is a beautiful and a wonderful innovation, which I believe sincerely will now embolden and empower pharmacists, not just to be content with working in their pharmacies and laboratories and offices, but actually in seeking to publish their experiences by way of research and observing all the necessary best practices, such as will enable them now to publish. So we started, the first series was headed Plagiarism, most of what you should know. And the purpose of that was for everybody to know that because you want to publish, you just can't go and copy somebody's work and then use it without acknowledging the original author. There could be legal consequences. And so that was the first thing we did, was to receive a lecture on plagiarism. This was followed by another insightful lecture, which was called Cite It Right, referencing. Most of us didn't know very much about how to do proper referencing. And this was intended to equip us with those skills. This was followed by copyright and intellectual property, a researcher's perspective. And as you know, when you want to publish, there are rules and regulations. You just can't do it anyhow. There are standard practices that you ought to be aware of and to stick to. So this was another insightful lecture that was meant to equip us with those skills. And this was followed by literature search and how to use databases effectively. And most of us didn't know that there were some areas where you could go to and look for information. Because what we need to understand is that whatever it is that we want to talk about, we are not the only one talking about it or researching about it. Others have done it before. We are not going to reinvent the wheel. Ours is to add fresh knowledge or improve existing knowledge or question existing knowledge or sort of let other people know what we are doing. Then came one of my best lectures which I participated in, designing your presentation, which was spearheaded by our good friend here, Dr. Brackung. And Dr. Brackung actually opened our eyes. Most of us did not learn, certainly not my group of pharmacists. Nobody taught us anything about writing your research paper and presenting it. And therefore, we were only familiar with the standard PowerPoint, where you put the heading there on top and put all kinds of bullet points there. And then you find that when people are presenting, the presenter is chasing after the information he has put to read. And then the audience are also chasing the information on the slide. And in the final analysis, either the author is running too fast for the audience, but there's not real much participation. Dr. Brackung taught us an innovative way of presenting presentations, not by putting so much verbiage on the slide, by putting the essential points and then covering the essential points so that the author can now be in a position to directly and more effectively and impactfully communicate with the audience, such as to receive the desired effect. And that was one of my best presentations. And Kwabena, thank you so much for teaching us those very essential skills. And I'd like to tell colleagues that our presentation today will follow the concept that Dr. Brackung taught us, not to talk too much on the slides, but to allow the patients to use their imagination and to follow us. And there are various presentation skills that we should familiarize ourselves with as we move along. And so today, we have prepared our presentation and now we are now standing up to deliver it so that we can deliver our work impactfully. So as I've said earlier on, we are going to use Dr. Brackung's concept, and you will see that our slides are unique. The slides we are going to use for this presentation are unique, and we hope that you will not only enjoy it, but it will be easier for us to follow each other. And of course, after this, the last one will be, you really want to publish now, get ready to publish your work. So you can see that the entire concept of this masterclass series is to not only to equip up with our skills, but also to publish effectively. Having said that, can we go to the next slide, please? The next slide. Yes. So at this point, we assume that the fellow has already prepared his slides that will enable him to deliver, that will enable him to stand up and deliver impactfully. And at this point, he would have an idea about whom he's going to present to the target audience and necessarily he would also have an idea about the auditorium and the podium. Now, permit me to digress a little bit here and say that oftentimes we start our research without consulting anybody, and then when we are finished, we want everybody to agree with what we have done, and then to sort of give us the support we need. May I humbly suggest that, first of all, it is important that as a fellow, you ask yourself, what is the research question? What am I seeking to do? And in so doing, there's need for you to consult with some of the obvious stakeholders that will be interested in your research, or people who have already worked in that area. As I said, you are not going to invent any wheel. You are only going to improve, add, or create. And therefore, consultation in this work, and if you like call it teamwork, is absolutely necessary right from the very beginning. You must ask yourself, what is my research question? What am I seeking to find out? What am I seeking to improve? What service am I seeking to provide? How am I seeking to facilitate healthcare delivery? Or whatever it is, you must be clear what the research question is. Then, having done so, I humbly suggest that you consult your colleagues, you read the literature and find out what others have done in the area that you want to research into, and try and get some concurrence or some support or some interest in what you're trying to do. Don't just write the research and think that you're going to stand before a crowd and ram it down their throat and they're going to say, hey, well done, well done, well done. No. So start consulting right from the beginning. What is the research question that you are seeking to handle? So coming back, we have now reached a place where we have prepared our slides and we have an idea about the audience, the people you are going to talk to. And this one too, obviously, you must talk to the people who will be interested or who are interested in the subject matter and who could benefit from it and who could also support you. Next slide, please. Ah, what a beautiful picture. Now, I'm inviting all of you for a moment, focus on the image that you are seeing on your slide. And I'm giving ourselves a few minutes to each one try and say something about what you are seeing and what you think it means. So Ben, could you make it possible for colleagues who want to chip in here to be able to do so? Thank you. All right.
Hello.
Yes, I'm saying that let's give a chance to our participants to concentrate for a bit on this image that you have here, which is headed Seeking a Balance. And let each one try to, from their own imagination, tell us what they think they are seeing and what they think we are trying to, why are we showing it to them? Let fellows express some comments on this one for me, please, before we move on. Anybody want to make a comment, please go ahead. What are you seeing? Titled Seeking a Balance in relation to what we are trying to discuss, how to present impactfully our research work. What kind of balance are we seeking to achieve in order that our presentation will be meaningful? I hope the system is such that they can react.
Yes, please. They can unmute and respond, please.
Yeah, so tell them to do so. That they should unmute and talk. Because it is important that we respond here before we can move on properly, in order that this presentation will enable you to present impactfully. We are
Okay, so
looking.
please, if you have any comments, kindly unmute and respond. Or if you'd rather put it in the chat box as well.
No, let them unmute and respond.
Yes, sir. So kindly unmute and respond if you have any comments. Thank you.
At least let's have three people that respond. Yes, you're looking at Francis Brackle's screen. There's a very nice image there headed "Seeking a Balance." And I'd like you to use your imagination in respect of what we are seeking to discuss today, what this image is going. Oh, pharmacists are not timid, so please volunteer and respond. Host, please call the first three people who have registered attendance, and let the first three people there try and respond. They say we will volunteer them.
All right, let me talk. We are looking
Thank you.
at seeking a balance, and looking at the structure that is there, we could see that we have a base, and the base is let me say, the heaviest and the largest, and it moves on and on and on to the top with the less heavier stone on it. So you can't start from a base where you have the smaller and the less heaviest stone. You need to make sure that you arrange your presentation in such a way that it follows a very chronological and something that will be catchy and touch the attention of your audience. That is what I have seen. Thank you.
Thank you. Now that someone has broken the ice, can we have two more comments? Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, let's hear you.
So similar to what Farm also said, we've been going through a series of discussions. The sole purpose is to be able to write research papers to communicate our ideas and findings to a larger community. So everything that we learn is more like a foundation, built like a building. So we build on one idea to the next in order to get to our target. If we just jump to our targets, we may end up having loopholes and everything comes down. The balance is no more there. Thank you.
The balance is no more there. In other words, there must be order and regularity. Things must follow best practices. It must follow the way to do things properly. And as I said, we are not the only one trying to travel that road. Others have done it before. We should have consulted so that the final product that we are presenting will be such as to attract the interest and support of the target group. Thank you very much. I think this will be okay. Kemi, can we go to the next slide, please?
Yes.
Yes, here's some very nice imagery I'd like you to enjoy. Look at it and enjoy. You see the three, how many? 1, 2, 3, the 4 wise men with all their beard, you know. And of course, you can see that they really symbolize people who have a repository of knowledge and wisdom. And in all our parlances, in our local parlances in Ghana, we say that history has a lot to teach. And we, like we say in Account, Tete will become. History has a lot to teach. And as I've emphasized right from the beginning, the road, whichever research question we are trying to answer, we should always remember somebody must have traveled that way before. And therefore, it is very important that we allow history to teach us and inform us in order that we may start the journey aright. So let's go to the next slide and see how we can learn. And in the slide of Aristotle, we know Aristotle was a great thinker, one of the great thinkers from Greece. And he says, and I think we should all agree with him, that speakers convince their audience in three main ways. And he says the first way is logos. And that means the logical aspect of it. What you're saying, does it make sense? Does it follow? Or will it build up to something else? And the second way is pathos, which is the emotion. You know, they say sometimes the heart has reasons that the mind cannot even understand. Your heart will be telling you something, say, it's like when you go into a shop without any focus in your mind. Everything you see, you buy by impulse, because whatever it is that you're buying is appealing to your emotion. And then the third way to communicate to the audience is about ethos, and that is the credibility. Now, it is important we focus a little bit on this, because if what you are saying doesn't make sense, if there's no logic in what you're saying, if what you're saying does not appeal to the emotions of the audience you are speaking to, if what you are saying does not exude credibility, people cannot believe that, hey, this what this fellow is saying, he actually believes in it. So let's give him some attention. Then you are not communicating, pure and simple. To be able to communicate well, you must, whatever it is that you are saying or imparting, must be logical. It must make sense. And it must be able to appeal to the emotions of your audience. And last but not least, you must be seen to be credible. You must be seen to believe in what you are impacting, and not just being some 149 somebody. Or is this 419? Thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, talking about the logos, for the time being, I want to put your mind back to a scenery in a court of law, where the judge is sitting down there with all his supporters, and the lawyers are arguing their points, trying to catch the eye of the judge to advocate the case in their favor. And it all depends in if what you are saying is coherent. But if it is gibberish, though, of course, nobody is going to listen to you at all. And besides, you are not just talking for the talking's sake. You are not presenting your paper for the sake of presentation only, but you want to build up to something. What in normal parlance we call, you must build up to its logical conclusion. So it means that you cannot really present and hope to get results unless your presentation are coherent, if the facts you are presenting make sense. If you have relied upon what others have done and you have cited appropriately, and you have put your arguments in the right direction, and you have followed standard procedure for writing down the paper, then you're not going to build up to anything. And if you cannot build up to this logical conclusion, then what are you hoping that your audience will accept and come along with you? So it is important. Okay, next slide, please. And then when we come to the pathos element, I told you earlier on that sometimes the heart has reasons which the mind cannot even understand. It's not logic alone, but you must be able to appeal to the emotions of the audience you are talking to. And therefore, if you are unable to let the audience navigate through what you're saying in order that they will be of the same frame of mind as you, as far as possible, then you can't get them ready to receive the image or the information that you are passing on. So this aspect of emotion and getting the audience to be in the proper frame of mind and getting them to be ready to receive is important. Otherwise, there are some presenters or speakers who, right after the first few minutes of their presentation, they lose the audience. People just don't listen because they have not shown logic, they have not shown coherence, they have not shown that they themselves believe what they are saying, that they are properly prepared, and therefore the audience decide to switch off. Some of the members will just simply switch off, and they won't tell you they are switching off. So you're just wasting your time so far as they're concerned. So it is important that we make a deliberate effort in presenting our research papers, such as to win the emotional support of the audience, in order that they can get in the proper frame of mind to go along with us, to hear all that we have to say, and getting them to receive exactly what we want them to receive. And this is very, very, very important. Next slide, please. Then the last part, the ethos. How are we demonstrating, or when you are presenting to any target group, how are you going to demonstrate your credibility? And because if you cannot demonstrate your credibility, then all that you are saying by word of mouth is just, it's not going to reach anybody. So it is important that we lay emphasis on these aspects. And here too, with the permission of KB, I would like us to spend a couple of minutes here and see that we have to understand that our job is not simply to stand before a target group and read a paper like we are reading a love letter or we are reading the book of Constitution. We must know that we have a purpose. The purpose is to move our target in such a way that they will listen to us making coherent statements. They will listen to us make statements that appeal to their emotion so that they can be led to the logical conclusion. And if we don't do this, then our presentation will be useless. That is why in this system, as we are presenting to you now, we are not interested in writing so much on our slides and as it were competing with the audience in reading the words that we have put there. They decide to switch off. Anyway, if it's there, let it be there. So you are not making any impact. It is therefore important that we understand these principles, such as will enable us to deliver impactfully. Remember that everybody has decided what to do with their time. They make their own decision what to do with their emotion, and they make their own decision whether to continue listening to you or not. And I have sat through various lectures or presentations, whatever name you want to call it, depending upon what it is. And people just switch off. And using myself as an example, if you stand in front of me to talk, and after the first 2-3 minutes, then I'll make a decision. Is he credible? Is it worthwhile listening to him? Well, I'm here, so let me be here. When I go, time for coffee break, then we'll go enjoy the coffee. These things actually happen. And we must be sure that after this presentation, we should know that we really need to prepare and listen to the advice of our great professors, thinkers who have gone before us. Titi Wubika, the past, the history has a lot to teach us. It's very important. And I'm hoping and praying that our fellows have taken this portion of the presentation to serious consideration. And you should never go and make any presentation anywhere without ensuring that you are satisfying these principles. The principles, let's go back to the previous slide. Yes. the principles that you are logical, that you are appealing to their emotions, and that you are credible. If you don't exhibit these qualities in the early stage of presentation, people will switch off. Thank you very much. So, KP, let's go to the next slide. Yes. Now, it is therefore imperative that we understand some of the basic principles of communications. Right now, I am speaking to you, you can hear my voice. I'm show you some slides by courtesy of KB, and you are watching some wonderful pictures and slides. And you can see that these slides are different from the ones that we are normally used to. It's not, we are not writing an essay in the slides and reading the essay to you and asking the audience to compete with us. That way we will lose them somewhere along the line. But we are putting images there that will appeal to your mind, to your heart, and to your decision to stay with us and be with us, so that we can then draw the matter to its logical conclusion by getting you to do for us the reason which we have come to make a presentation. In other words, to present our research work impactfully in order to get the desired effect. And later on, we will have to understand what the desired effect we want, even before we come to make a presentation. Just as in the beginning, it is important to consult with your colleagues, mentors, and professors. What is the research question that I want to go into? Is it worthwhile? Is it useful? If so, have others done it before? What did they say about the research work? And you must consult right from the beginning, so that now that you are presenting to your audience, you also know what the
I think you are on mute.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. So to go back a few steps, what I said is that just as initially you must know what your research question is, and know that others have traveled that road before. Ask your mentors, ask your colleagues, this research question, what do you think it is? The people that you want to benefit, consult with them. And supposing we do this for you, do you think it will be better for you to provide better healthcare? Is there any need? What are your challenges? You must consult. So that when you are presenting for support, you already have an idea what is necessary and what is expedient and what is desirable and what is a must. And then in presenting, know that, as we say in Akan, Titi Ubika, others have traveled the road before. You are not trying to reinvent the wheel, and don't think you're the cleverest person on earth. Even someone below you could give you an idea that can be very useful to you. And consult, and consult. Go back into history, know what there is there, and remember that the 4 wise men, you must understand that's a purpose for presentation. You must be logical, you must build up, and you must get what you want, and you must show credibility. So at this point, we are going to talk a little bit about the communication itself, the art of communication impactfully. And let us start by looking at this image that you have there now. I'd like you to gaze at the slide for a short while. What do you see there? How many people do you see in the slide? How many people do you see in the slide? Someone unmute and say something quickly.
4 people.
Fantastic. What do you think they are doing?
They are expressing themselves by gestures.
Fantastic. Oh, I'll clap for you. I'll clap for you. I'm clapping for you. Yes, they are expressing themselves by gestures. So talking is not the only way to express. I'm talking to you now, but I'm doing other things you can't see. You see, my voice is going up and down. I'm laying emphasis where I can. I slow down where I can. I change my tone. And you can't see me, but I'm moving my hands and my facial expressions are changing in order to emphasize what I'm saying. So that, assuming that I was in front of an audience, the audience will be looking at me as I talk. And I'd like to inform you, this is like, this is what the people who know have stated, that when we are communicating, what we say verbally is only 7%. Only 7% of what we communicate will help to convince people. But 38% of that which we say is because the tone, how we say it, where we say it, and the gestures we made to go with it. But above all, 55% is via the body language. So what we say is only a very small percentage. You see, because what I say is, like you hear my voice. A lot of things have gone into you hearing my voice, because in the background, myself and KGB, we have done a lot of research. We have collaborated in preparing these slides for you together. And we have done that on purpose. We have used a special way of preparing the slides. And later on, KB2 will join me when we come to the breakout session to go to some real nitty-gritties there. But the idea is that I'm not just talking. I'm making gestures. I'm making facial expressions. And even with the talking, it's not just one tone. You will fed up with it. But it's nice to see you. And I'm glad that you are listening to me, hoping that I will give you some information that will be useful for you, not only in writing your research, but also in presenting it impactfully. Now you can see it's like a song, it's like a poem. My voice is going up and down, and I scream a little bit, and I low down a little bit, I slow down, and I lay emphasis. Not only that, you can see, but my body is moving in all directions in order to emphasize what I'm saying. So the spoken word, and as well as how we say it, and then how whoever's listening to us is also looking at our body and deciding without telling you, what is he talking? Rubbish, forget about it, I'm not listening. Or, hey, the man is really making a lot of sense. Let's listen to him. That's how you get the results that you want. So the non-verbal communication actually is more important than the verbal. And even with the verbal, you have to know how to do it properly. In order, what? To show credibility. In order to show coherence. In order to appeal to the emotions of your audience. In order to carry them along with you. In order that they will agree with you that what you want them to do is really what they're even prepared to do for you without you asking them. That's how you get the results that you want. So we will spend a little time on this modes of communication and how you can do it well. Because the subject matter of the presentation is not to teach communication as such, we are not going to spend too much time with it, but I'll recommend to you that after the series, it's an area that you can find some material to read on the art of communication in order to see how the experts have divided it into 3 portions: communicating by word, and even the word, even how we do it, and then the body language. You see, when I'm communicating, as I'm communicating to you by word now, I am voluntarily, purposefully deciding the words I will use and how I will say them. But that bit called the body language is controlled involuntarily, and it is usually more truthful than what we are saying. So whoever your target is, they are taking into consideration all of these things. before they make a decision for themselves, if you have led them to the logical conclusion, for them to go along with you. So it is very, 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 very important. Yeah. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, whatever it is that you are doing, first you must know how to do it, and then you must do it well, and then you must find out if there are any challenges or any ways you can do it better, in order that you can now benefit from this presentation to be able to now present impactfully. But before I invite Dr. Braku to take us through the breakout session, where we shall try to answer some very serious and important questions, in order that we'll be able to know exactly what to do, let me at this point say that if you take your communication or your presentation for granted, it will also take you for granted. You will not get the results that you want. It's as simple as that. And if you don't prepare carefully the work, and you think you can just go and stand anyhow because you're a professor or you were Dr. So and so, you have done the research work, and I have done my research, so what I'm going to tell them what I want. No, it doesn't go that way. Know that no one will follow you unless they believe you will not lead them into danger. Credibility is important. And you cannot be credible if you can communicate verbally what you have in a way that will carry people with you. And you cannot communicate very well if your body language is saying something different from what you're saying. You know, it's like that's why the criminal investigators, when they catch a suspect, as they are talking to the suspect, someone is just watching the suspect, not asking any question, just sitting by and watching. That is trying to decipher what the body language is saying, because the body language cannot hide the truth, because it is involuntarily controlled. The body language cannot hide the truth, but you can use the body language to emphasize the truth. And that is why it is important that we understand these principles. So let me pause here. And once again, thank you very much, Dr. Braku, for having worked together with me in jointly preparing the slides and trying to help you to present impactfully to get the desired results you want. Ben, may I now invite you to take over from here, from slides.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you very much. This is really very interesting. And I think for many of us here, it is the first time we are seeing that for you to present your work more impactfully, a few things have to be considered. Like, for instance, now we know the 3 core elements that make a good presentation. So the logos, how we can present our work coherently, building up to a logical conclusion. The pathos, how we can appeal to the emotions of our audience to bring them along, to get them on our side so that they can be convinced with the information we are sharing with them. And then the ethos, which is how we can demonstrate credibility. When we have all this in our presentation, we will do very well. So we actually want to put this information in practice right now. Of course, when we have left the sessions and we've gone to our various workplaces, there will be a lot of opportunities for us to do presentations and also put all these information in practice. But we want to have a feel of putting these things here. So what we are going to do is that we will go into smaller groups. I'm not sure about the numbers, but organizer, maybe 2 or 3 groups maximum, because there aren't many of us here. And in our groups, we want to have a little planning for how we will go about presenting. So in your group, I want you to choose a topic, okay, among yourselves, decide. And may I also remind you that one person in each group will have to take notes of what the group decide, so that when we come back to the main room, we will have the opportunity to hear what went on in other groups. So choose a topic on your own. It can be a topic from your workplace. It can be a topic that you have always thought about that you want to do more work on. It can even be an area you are planning to venture into, and because of that, you've done some research around it and gotten some information. So choose a topic and then give us what purpose could you be presenting your work? So whatever topic that you have brought, what is the purpose? If you are given the opportunity to present this work to the people, what purpose are you trying to achieve? Okay, so let's say I'm a hospital pharmacist and I've been working on malaria for some time, and I'm trying to present my work to some senior policymakers to get more funding or to get certain things done differently in how we are handling issues around malaria. So that will be my purpose. And define your type of audience. So you tell us the people you would like to listen to you, your presentation, to achieve your purpose. So I want to talk about rational use of drugs, and I want to target little children in secondary schools and primary schools so that they will also be aware of how to use medicines properly or not to abuse drugs, especially students in our secondary schools. That is where most of them will be introduced to drugs, illicit drugs, and so on. And maybe you are designing a presentation to go out to schools or as an outreach program and tell them who are your target audience and why have you chosen that target audience. So you should give us some information on that. Then what steps will you take to make your presentation impactful? And that is where we will encourage you to try and put into practice some of the information you've heard right now, okay? Seeking a balance, making sure you have a very balanced presentation, making sure your presentation captures the type of audience you are anticipating, making sure your presentation is responding to all these three key elements, the logos, the pathos, and the ethos, and then how hopefully that can yield a very good impact. So I hope that I am clear. So we'll be going out to the groups. I'll let the organizer decide. Organizer, are you there?
Yes, please.
Yes, and so we are ready to go to the groups. So I think you will have access to go to all the groups. So when you go to the groups, then try and stimulate the conversation along these 4 topics. Okay, I will.
Okay, sir, but you can move around.
Oh,
it's in a way that you can move.
Yeah, so if you give me that access, then I can also move around to the various groups and see what is happening in there. So we are ready to go to the groups. Please take note of these 3 questions. We are having our discussion around this. Please make sure that you have someone taking notes from your discussions, summaries from your discussions, and then when we come back to the main room, we will have the opportunity to learn from all other groups. It is now 3 o'clock. So let's say we will go to the various rooms for about 30 minutes and have a very exhaustive discussion on how we can plan a presentation, how the kind of audience we desire and why we are desiring such audience, and the steps we will take to make our presentation more impactful. So, organizer, over to you. Move us into the various groups and let us
Thank you. Hello. So for what?
All right. Well, welcome back from your various breakout sessions. I hope that you have had some very interesting discussions. I actually moved around the rooms and I saw that it was really vibrant in there. People were really putting up plans together. So we will be calling the various groups to bring up what they decided. So first, you tell us your topic. You briefly explain the purpose for which you are presenting, what you are presenting to achieve what purpose. And then you tell us a bit about your target audience and why you are choosing such an audience. And then you basically tell us what plans you are making to make your presentation more impactful. So these were the three questions around which we were building our discussion. So can I get the representative from group 1 to take the floor and present what they discussed?
Hello, good evening, or good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Fam David from Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So, and I'm with group 1. I'll be presenting on behalf of group 1. And then we came up with a topic, and the topic is challenges associated with drug procurement in the hospital. And this is a problem that runs through a lot of facilities. So the purpose for selecting this topic for presentation is to, 1, inform the management about the need to release funds on time for drug procurement, and 2, to inform management on the need to procure the needed drugs for the hospital. And 3 is to educate the management about medicine procurement in the hospital. The next question. So our target audience is the management of the hospital, which comprise of the director, hospital medical director, the pharmacy director, the auditor, the accountant, the administrator, and all those who are involved, like the procurement team. And then the steps that we'll be taking to make the presentation, first of all, we'll be looking forward to
let me just interrupt. So okay. What is the reason why you have chosen this particular audience? Why not the nurses and the doctors in the various wards? Why have you chosen this particular group of people to be the audience?
Okay, so we selected this group of people to be the audience because they are in charge of making the decisions and the day-to-day decisions of the facility, and then they are in charge of releasing funds for various activities that go on in the facility, and also for procurement of medications for the hospital.
Excellent. So in other words, you are choosing your audience so that you can realize the purpose for which you are doing your presentation. And it is very important. So thank you very much, Daniel. Continue, please.
Okay, so with question 3, please, my name is David. So
Sorry, David.
Okay.
Sorry.
So question 3, we are supposed to, so we want to appeal to their emotions. And we do that by making them to know the importance of having drugs available in the facility, where we'll be citing an example of a case of the death of one of the patients because an essential drug was not available at the time when it was needed. And then we also be talking about the profits that we can make when the procurement process is always in line. So where we'll be giving them a graphical representation of the profit that we made when drugs were available, and then the profit that we made when there were fewer drugs available in the facility. Then we also be talking about we also be talking about the need for following, the importance of following the procurement process as stated in the Procurement Act. Yeah, so I believe that these are some of the important points we made during our discussion in Group 1. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, David. So actually, their plan really captures all the 3 elements we talked about. So first, they are citing a case that can really get the emotions of the management and frame them up to be very receptive of the message that they are delivering so that they can achieve their purpose. They are also going to use data to present a very coherent argument. So that's the logos bit, so that they will know that, oh, really, if we put in measures to make procurement efficient, the hospital can actually benefit as well. It's also profitable. And so why not? Who doesn't like profits? Let's really listen to what they are saying and actually do what they are saying, because ultimately the finances of the hospital can be improved if we adhere to this procurement suggestions that the team is presenting. And then finally, the credibility. They say they are going to present their case on the heels of the Procurement Act. So it's a credible presentation, and that is going to demonstrate some credibility, and it is more likely going to be taken on board because they are not coming with some dodgy arguments as to how they can make profits on the blind side of the institution, or no, they are coming on the heels of the Procurement Act. So David's plan actually shows all the 3 elements we have talked about. And I think when the presentation is planned in this way, they will definitely have a very good outcome following what they plan. So thank you very much, David. Can we have the representative from Group 2, please? The representative from Group 2. Please take the floor and let's hear you. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I am Ebenezer presenting for Group 2. And our topic that was chosen was rational use of medicines among market women. Rational use of medicines among women. And our purpose was to educate market women about irrational use of medicines. More especially because for them, they are located at a particular place, and we have a lot of drug peddlers moving around preaching about their medicines, whether mainstream medicine or herbal medicines. And they talk to them heaven on earth to convince them that their medicines are good, and sometimes end up misinforming them, even as to how the medicines ought to be taken. And to their little knowledge, the women who don't know much will also purchase the medicines. For us as pharmacists, we know a lot of medicines are photosensitive and they are also heat sensitive. They are also delicate to moisture and other things and other pathogens that can break down the medicine. So these women may get the medicines, use them, and they get a lot of challenges, either from wrong usage of the medicines. Sometimes they may complain that, oh, I have wounds in my body. I feel as if there are wounds in my body. So they will go and get amoxicillin or any other antibiotics just to take care of. Maybe it may just be stress and tiredness or fatigue, let's say fatigue. But they go in for the wrong medications because those who are peddling the medicines have little knowledge and they are not able to sell wholesome medicines or wholesome products to them, and even to educate them well on the medications. So we chose the market women as one of our audience. And we also looked at considering policymakers, because if they are able to consider this situation seriously and go after these drug peddlers who illegally sells medicines under very bad conditions, very poor storage conditions, because we know that medicines are very sensitive, and per the way we store them, they can also, keep longer or break down. And we may not get the best of quality from the use of this medicine. So if we are to target these policymakers to bring them to the notice that they are supposed to be on top of their game, they are supposed to go after these people, I think we'll be making a headway. And then consumers in general is one of our target groups, because we know if they are not in the profession, they may not know much about it. Technically, there are people who read all right, but with the technicalities of it, it is only the professional who should educate them about the right ways of using medications. Then we took the second, we looked at the second question: steps to make our presentation impactful. And we considered the logos in the way that first we have to enlighten our target group about what medicines are, and then their role, the role that medicines play, and then explain to them rational use of medicines, what rational use of medicines is, and then the outcomes of irrational uses of medicines. Then on the pathos, we decided that we will cite examples of irrational uses of medicines and how it resulted in the effects. The effects that came out. For example, one may just purchase a medicine, and then instead of inserting in the anus, the user may insert in the vagina, because there was no proper education. The person was not properly educated. and I was a witness to somebody selling piroxicam, an antipyretic analgesic agent. And the person was telling him to take it twice a day, 2 capsules, morning and evening. And you can see the deadly effect of taking piroxicam, 2 capsules, that's 40 milligram BD for a number of days. And you know its effect. You and I know what effects this can result in. And therefore, citing these examples and others will bring them their minds home as to what the importance of what we are presenting to them. Then with the ethos, we thought of gathering information from FDA, hospitals, health centers, and other sources to buttress our point that we are not just speaking out of mind, but we have concrete evidence to suggest that people should get to understand the right use of medicines, that they should not just go to any person to get medicines, but to the right sources, get medicines or help from right sources. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Hello.
very much for the elaborate presentation. That's really very good. And we can see all the thoughts that goes into planning a presentation like how Ebenezer has presented. And once you do this, your presentation will really make an impact. So the whole point of today's presentation has been to just enlighten you on some of the elements that goes into making proper presentation. So the key among them being the fact that you start by looking for a balance, make sure that everything is in perfect balance, pay attention to logic, be sure you are winning your audiences on your side by appealing to their emotions, and be sure you are demonstrating credibility. Mind your communication skills. We have learned from Abraham that only a small portion of the communication we put out there is verbal. Majority is in the tone of our voice and our body language. So once we are mindful of all these ingredients, that goes on to make a great presentation. I'm sure we will do very well. So there are a few more topics to come before the end of the year, but I will encourage all the participants that chose various topics. I think they are very, very useful topics that need much more deliberation, the ones that you have used in the various breakout sessions. So I will encourage you to go on, use every information that you have had so far, right from the beginning when we presented on plagiarism up until today, to see if you can develop some of these presentations around the topics that you have chosen, and see that as pharmacists, we will be making impact in our various communities when we go ahead to present these to the respective audiences that we have in our mind. So thank you very much. I'll invite my senior colleague, Abraham, to share a few words as we bring this presentation to an end. Then I'll hand over to the organizer. This has been recorded, so if you want a transcript or anything for a recap, then by all means contact the College of Pharmacists, and I'm sure it will be made available to you. I can see someone's hand up. Irene, is your hand up? Irene Boateng. Hello.
Yes, I have a question.
Pardon?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, so on the non-verbal communication slide that we saw, and with the statistics.
Can you please get closer to your microphone? Your voice sounds very distant.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it clear now?
It is, yes.
Okay. So on the slide where we had the information on non-verbal communication, with the statistics that 55% of information is conveyed through body language. I want to find out, in this era where we are doing a lot of online presentation, where body language virtually is absent, what will you recommend? Where should we focus on then? Is it on the quality of our slides, or will it be the voice tone? I was just thinking about it. Your comments, please.
Yes. From Abraham, do you have any response for Irene?
Yes, Irene.
Yes, from Abraham.
Before COVID, most of the presentations were more or less in person, isn't it? Now,
Yes,
COVID
please.
has moved all of us into the digital space with its own challenges and advantages. Through the digital space, we can reach a whole lot more people than we were previously doing. You will see that even in the verbal communication, the way your voice changes, the intonation, the rate at which you are speaking, the emphasis you place, all that will determine the credibility that you are putting in. But even though it might seem to us that making digital presentations, people cannot see your body language, oh, they can see, they can feel it. And these days, most of the digital things are that even if it's digital, they will see you on the screen actually doing your presentation, and they'll be watching your body language at the same time. And remember what I said, the body language, it is involuntary, so you don't control yourself. And that usually gives a more truthful account of yourself than what you are saying. So continue to pay attention to the fact that body language is very essential. And in most day-to-day activities, you will not only be making presentations virtually, you'll be making real presentations as well. So the body language aspect is very important for you to take into account. Now, when people see a certain challenge in what you're saying and from what you're behaving, then you lose credibility. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Irene, for your question, and thank you for your answer. From Abraham, do you have any more comments?
Now, like you said, I think we've even achieved more than we even set out to achieve, in the sense that participants have chosen relevant topics. They have given us very good reasons why they chose those topics, for which purpose they have selected the appropriate audiences to listen to them, and they are ready, more than ready before, to make an impactful presentations. And I'd like to emphasize the advice you give to them. These are very worthy topics that can call for a more concerted effort on behalf of the presenters to make them real. And also, I like what you said to them, that the college is there, and if they want any tools, any assistance, they should go there. In other words, they should try as much as possible to practicalize what they have learned today, and I believe that is where the college grows. And we should also congratulate the college for institutionalizing this masterclass series. I think it's very, very wonderful. And I also commend you for the way you did not only conduct the breakout, but actually led them through.
Hello, I think we lost from Abraham, but so let's, so that is it for today's session. Just a few concluding remarks. The
organizer can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So Yeah.
Yes. This is what we want them to take home. What we want them to take home. And I'm sure that our colleagues have found the relevance and appropriate communication skills. Let them not be for today only. Continue improving upon your skills. You should understand, and you are taking away that properly written articles using best practices and appropriate standards, as you have been taught through the various masterclass series. It's not just for fun. It is meant for application in order to write good and sellable research projects. And then we should know that we cannot start a research without understanding what really is the research question, and not taking into consideration and by consulting the kinds of people we think will benefit from our research. We should start the consultation right from the beginning so that we can have clearly defined purposes. But last but not least, as evidence of what we have learned today, you must prepare, you must rehearse, and you must be ready in your body, in your mind and spirit to communicate impactfully. Thank you very much for all your attention. And this thank you for me and Dr. Brackung. We have been your friends on this journey, and we hope that you have enjoyed yourselves. KB, you can end it.
Yes, so over to you, organizer. If you have any more notices, then we'll be happy to hear them now. Otherwise, it's now in your court. Yes, so I think there is a short survey to be conducted. So please kindly quickly spend a minute to do all this and then submit it, just for the records of the college, so that we have opportunities to improve upon our deliveries. Thank you. You can see the polls on your screens now. Please kindly participate for the benefit of improving upon our delivery. This is for the college's information. Thank you.
Dr. Brackung, this is Yvonne. If it is possible for me to just share a few words before we wrap up.
Oh, yes,
it is.
I didn't know you are here, madam.
We are so glad to hear your voice. Yes.
Yeah. So I think I'm not in town, and I confused myself with the different timelines and all that, and so I missed the greater part of this. But I just wanted to share that I'm not in town because I participated in the FIP conference, and one of the posters was on this training, and we had quite a lot of interest shared with participants on how this training is going, the concept, the fact that we actually do the practice during the session. People were really excited about that, how we get pharmacists to actually take some time to practice what it is that the concepts that we teach. And they were, I mean, it was exciting. People's feedback on how the program could be utilized for even other training sessions. So I just wanted to share that this is something that people are so excited about. And people agree that the structure is such that we can actually use it for other sessions. There were comments on the fact that doing it once a month and how that could affect participation. So we thought that, yeah, we mentioned the fact that, yeah, that was something that we had observed. And so perhaps moving forward, it may be possible to just look at the period, so that if it is over a period of 1 week, because this poster was put up right next to the poster for the vaccination training, and so that brought up that comparison, that the vaccination training, the conceptual training, takes place over a period of 6 days, and you see the difference in attendance is not as much from the beginning to the end as there is with the this masterclass series. And so that is one of the things that's one of the comments that we are taking with us as a college. But by and large, it is a concept that people found very exciting. And so I just wanted to share that with all participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam. And we are very happy to hear from you.
Certainly, we are very happy to hear from you.
All right.
And welcome back home.
I'm actually not back, which is the reason for my mix-up. Yes. I'm not back yet. Yes.
Don't worry. We wish you a safe return to your native country later on.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, but we are very glad to hear from you.
So yeah, so I think that is it. Please remember to complete the survey and for the records of the college, and then hopefully when that is done, the meeting would have ended. So organizer, over to you. Organizer. We started with a prayer, so if we can, I don't want to close the meeting in case there is anything more, but I need to hear from College of Pharmacy.
Organizer.
I think because Madam Yvonne,
we are done for the day, so we can just have our closing prayer in there.
All right.
Okay, let us pray.
No, go ahead.
Eternal Father, we are so grateful for this hour of the day, for enlightening us on this knowledge. We pray that, Lord, grant us the grace to be able to imbibe this knowledge and practice them, so that we better serve our people. And then in the end, we will be useful to our generation. We thank you for the grace you've given us and the blessing that we have received from you, that we'll be able to be better people and always touch lives and help others. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.